In a world of challenges and uncertainties, hope shines as a beacon, guiding us through the dark times and showing us the way to brighter days ahead. But what exactly is hope? Where does it come from? And how does it shape our lives? I'm Annie Bennett, and I'd love you to join me on this journey as I explore the meaning of hope. I'll delve into philosophical perspectives, personal stories, and scientific insights to understand the power of this elusive emotion. So whether you're seeking inspiration, comfort, or simply a deeper understanding of the human spirit, let's embark on this exploration together and discover the extraordinary power of hope. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. Today I have a fascinating guest with me. I'm really looking forward to our chat. This person describes herself as I've written it down, a nervous system mentor, which I'm absolutely intrigued about. She's also an ex-primary teacher like myself, so I can't wait to get chatting. So it's lovely to have the lovely Chantal Shears here with me today. Hello, Chantal.
Hello, you.
Lovely to have you here. Now, what I generally ask my guests, first of all, is just to say a little bit about you, introduce yourself, and tell us what you do.
So I'm Chantal. I've got 4 boys. I live in Newquay, Cornwall, lived here all my life. I used to be a primary school teacher, and then I had my first son, and I decided I wanted to stay home with him, and consequently 3 other boys came along. But in between all this time, I started to get a little bit like low. I was struggling a little bit, and so um, over a long period of time, I realised that being outside was what where I needed to be, and I put in place certain things that sort of helped me. And from that, I became fascinated with neuroscience, basically, and I did do a bit of training around being a trauma-informed practitioner, which I was going to take back into the classroom, but I decided not to. So yes, that sort of started my journey in helping people and being a nervous system mentor. And then also run a community interest company. So that's been going for 9 years now. So that's called the Clothes Horse, and we help parents and carers get clothes for their children whilst helping the environment without breaking the bank, basically. So we help parents to get clothes affordably as well.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Now let's go back to being the nervous system mentor because I'm fascinated by this. I love all things sort of nervous system and finding out about it because I think it's people don't realize just how much knowing about this can affect, their everyday life, not just business and, families and stuff, but everyday life. How did you sort of first really get into it and realize that it was something you wanted to do?
Well, I think because unbeknownst to me, when I was sort of not in great places with when my children were young, and how sometimes because I was all in my head and dwelling on certain things, and I wasn't always present for my children. And then when I sort of slowly came out of it through going outside, and then I read up on it, and then that sort of started the journey of realizing how important regulating our nervous system was, just for with everything we do, i.e. when we're stressed, and just trying to stay connected with family, friends, our children, that need for me to want to be present with my children, for example. And then I read a book. It was more based on like children, because my children were still young, but the neuroscience behind it was absolutely fascinating. And then that started that journey to look into doing work around trauma informed training, but again that linked into the nervous system, and I just became fascinated. I just thought it was really interesting. And just also then during this journey, I sort of put in place stuff for myself, and I've seen how it's worked really well. I think also with having 4 boys, knowing that, you know, I needed to make sure that I was always sort of present for them. I was always there for them. That obviously drove me forward as well. And then when I realised that certain systems that I was using and things that I was doing in my daily life was working, I get to share that more, and that helped me with my passion a bit more too.
Wonderful, wonderful. You mentioned a book. Do you know the title of it?
I think it's called What Every Parent Should Know. It's by Dr. Margot Robbie. So I
Oh,
think
right.
Margot Robbie. But yeah, it just so I read that. Obviously it's not all just about the nervous system, but parts of it just really fascinated. Just,
Resonated, yeah. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
I've been a primary school teacher, and then from that it all just sort of spiraled and just kept going from there.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? When, because I've got two daughters who are a little bit older than yours, but I remember that feeling when they're born. You think that you should automatically be Wonder Mother and that everything will come naturally. And people tell you, oh, don't worry, it'll come naturally. And then when you struggle a bit, you think, oh gosh, what's going on? What's wrong? But actually it's going to be something to do with your nervous system, isn't it? That's not quite right. And you need to realign it. And you obviously found that too, didn't you?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think also, or I'll say, I put a lot of pressure on myself as well. I wanted to be the perfect mum as such, and I
Mm.
remember, thinking, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to do this? What do other people think about me? Being a mother, what are their thoughts? I laugh about it now, but I wish sometimes I would wear it, like when my kids were little, say, I didn't ask this to happen. One of my children, Ruben, bless him, he used to always have a habit of taking off his socks when we were walking around town in the middle of winter, and I'd have people looking at me. They probably didn't care, but I was obviously thinking, oh my gosh, they must think.
Judging, yeah, yeah.
I had a t-shirt saying, I didn't mean for him to do that.
Oh, I think that's adorable. Taking you. Well, some children just hate having things on their feet, don't they? They like to wear
Yeah,
foot.
but
But you're right. There is a real pressure, but I think it's a pressure that mums often put on themselves
yeah,
because they're told all these things, and once you know you're expecting a baby, you read all these things, and and you see all these wonderful, perfect, icons of mothers. And you think, well, I've got to live up to that. So anything that's below that, people must be looking at me and pointing. And in reality, actually, most of them are just, I mean, I now look at a struggling mother and go, oh, you poor woman.
yeah,
Have a break, love, Not judging at all, but it's interesting, isn't it, how our minds and our brains take over and tell us things that aren't true.
yeah, exactly. And I think, yeah, because for a long time I was so worried, and then of course that put stress on myself, and then it caused me, to feel really anxious, and obviously none of those things are good and healthy. Like when we're in that state, that fight or flight or freeze
Yeah,
state, and then we can't, always struggling to then find ways to calm down.
yeah.
That's not good for us, and then that can cause the brain fog. And being a parent is hard enough as it is without
Indeed.
you
Yeah.
know brain fog, or struggling to have that connection or to feel present because we're always stuck in our head, for example.
Mm.
And stuff like, I mean, sleep is so obviously important, but when we are feeling stressed and dysregulated, that can really affect our sleep as well, and just our general well-being. So it's really important, and I think it's easy for us to just keep going on, just keep going. And I remember I used to do it, like, oh, it'll be all right, it's fine, it's okay, we can just keep going. And for example, when my children were little, another book I read, it was a great book called Simplicity Parenting, I think it's called. And prior to this book, I remember, for example, booking something in the morning with the boys. Then sometimes we might squeeze something in for lunch, and then doing something in the afternoon. And I remember you know, and it was more, it was for me as well as for the boys. But I remember we would rush from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. And then at the end of the day, we were all completely shattered. And then I read this book, and I guess I was seeing it myself, like, what are we doing? And then when I really stop, like, just chill, you know. And then we stepped back, and we only then focused on doing one thing a day, and it might just be, you know, taking a long meandering walk to the park, for example. And that really helped. It helped me have headspace and just rest, and just, you know, also to feel my body, know what my body needs, instead of, you know, just being in go 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 mode. And the same for my children, just for them to just be. And I still do that today. So
Right.
if I can help it, I'll only book in one major thing per day, and then that's it. Like, yeah. And that's,
It's the pressure, isn't it? It's the pressure. Oh, we must be, you know, particularly in a half-term holiday or something, we must pack in all these things, you know, to keep our children occupied. But it can be just too much, can't it? And the fact that we sometimes don't look after ourselves. I'm an absolute advocate of, you know, self-care is the absolute pinnacle of everything that you do, because you can't do anything unless you're healthy and, you know, able to do it yourself.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, that whole um, making sure that we're there and we're able to do things, that's really, really important, because it's, I guess it's that whole oxygen mask on first sort of
Yeah.
thing. It's like,
That's my favorite analogy. I'm always talking about that. Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's funny you said that, but it's so funny that it's so needed that we do that, you know, that we, and to know that actually that's not selfish,
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
what is needed. Because I remember for a while, that's what I used to think, that no, I can't do that. Like, I have to sacrifice everything. Whereas actually, what was I teaching my children when I was doing that?
Mm.
I think a big moment was, I remember years ago, I had again, my children were little, but we were at some sort of play group thing, and my friend was with me, and I'd treated the boy. They had a little bit of food, and then I treated myself to something. And one of the boys, bless them, came up to me and said, "Mum, can I have that, please?" And I just let them have it, thinking nothing of it. And then my friend just looked at me and was like, "Shan, what are you now going to have?" And it just, something for me just like clicked. I was like, "Oh yeah, like,
Yeah.
I've now like made myself hungry just
Yeah.
because I haven't put my needs first." And it
Exactly.
got me. It really got me thinking.
Excellent. Oh my goodness me, what a story. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this podcast and all you know, all the things that I do are really centered around hope. And I think in your story there was perhaps, you know, when you were first a mother, there was a bit of hopelessness going on,
Yeah.
and didn't feel that, you know, things were right. So at what point do you think you sort of found that hope and thought, actually, this is, you know, I've got hope that things can be really good now?
Yeah, well, I think probably soon after that moment, I
Mm.
think I realized that something had to change, something had to shift, and I had to put me first, and I had to maybe, you know, say no to certain things, or, you know, and I had to sort of find out a little bit about myself. And then what I did is, one of the first things after that, I think, was I put in time. It was hard at the time because I was quite tired, but I carved out quiet time for myself in the mornings. So it was only like, at the start, it was only like a little bit of time, but now it's spread to, I give myself an hour. But my children know that they are not allowed to come down until after I've had that time. So I get up early, so it's, you know, I finish by 7 o'clock.
Mm.
They know, don't disturb mum, don't even talk to mum, don't even look at mum. Like, that's my time, and I've carved that out, and I've had that now for, oh gosh, it might be 10 years, it might be a bit longer, but that to me is really important, and that has started my day. and that has given me hope, because at the start of that time I didn't really have, or I was still at that stage where I was struggling. And I remember when I would sit down and I would have that quiet time, I used to read out some affirmations.
All right.
At the time I didn't believe them.
Mm.
Now I still read them daily, but now I believe them, and like it's really helped me. So yeah, I think that was the start. Yeah.
Yeah,
Start.
I just think that's brilliant. I mean, I think there are so many people, and I know so many people that say, "Oh, I couldn't ever do that. I don't have time." But it's a question of prioritizing things, isn't it? And as you say, start with, even if it's 10 minutes, you can find 10 minutes, even if you've got really young children, to, just to be yourself and say, right, I just need me space, and then build it as you've done. I think that's brilliant, because particularly at the beginning of the day, that's a really good time to sort of center yourself and, you know, sort of charge your batteries, really, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And interestingly, I noticed, so if for any reason, it's very, very rare, but if for any reason I haven't had that time, I can totally feel it. I'm totally out of joint, not great, not there at all. I don't like it at all. So I know that it's really important that I put that in place. And yeah, you're right. Like, I started very slowly, and I think, yeah, that's even in 5 minutes, even when we give ourselves 5 minutes, that can really help. That can help us to just sort of get ourselves grounded again, get us where I want to be. Even just to have that time, just for us to think, just check in with ourselves and think, right, how am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
What's going on? Am I feeling this? Am I feeling that? Just those sorts of things, getting curious about ourselves, that can help us set us up for the rest of our day. It may be that maybe, if we're feeling a certain way, we may decide, actually, you know what, I'm going to have a bit more of a downtime today because of how I'm feeling. Or maybe, you know what, I'm feeling whatever it is, that I'm going to have to do something else in my day. But it helps us with going forward. So I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you said earlier about being able to say no to things, I'm an absolute believer in the power of no. No is a complete sentence, and you don't have to justify a no. When I was at the end of my teaching career, I would say to the younger teachers, you can say no, You can, you don't have to say yes to anything, because I think that's a teacher thing, isn't it? That you feel you have to say yes to everything. But as soon as you start saying no, it's liberating, isn't it? You think, oh, I didn't actually have to do that, and I said that.
yeah, good
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah. I'm interested, actually, how your boys, do they sort of take that on as well? Do they realize how important self-care is, and do they give themselves time as well?
Yeah, they're really good actually. So sometimes, they'll be like, "Mum, I'm just taking myself away for a rest," or which whatever it is, or they might like go. They love drawing, and I think they use that a lot for their sort of downtime as well, their self care. So they're quite good at that, and they're also, bless them, they're quite good at sort of telling me how they're feeling as well, which I think.
Yeah, really important, particularly for boys.
Yeah, really good. So they've done that from a very early age. So when I was teaching, I remember we did quite a lot of training around emotional intelligence, and that's another. So
Yeah.
like, and yeah, so yeah, it's great that the boys also do that, and they recognise like how they're feeling, and then we talk about their emotions and those sorts of things as well. So yeah, yeah,
So healthy, isn't it? So healthy. I'm sure you did as well. I came across so many families in schools where, for example, the father would said, "Oh, don't cry, you're not a girl," kind of thing. And you think, "Oh no, don't do that." You could just see the problems happening, but then you'd see the parents that would say, "It's okay, you can, and
yeah,
you feel sort of, oh, thank goodness there are parents out there that realize the importance of children expressing themselves, and
yeah,
also children not understanding sometimes, particularly the younger ones, what their emotions are. I
yeah.
think as adults we sometimes assume that everyone is born knowing what happy and sad and jealous and angry is, but they don't, do they? They have to
Yeah.
be taught it.
Well, I heard something the other day. I'm not 100% if I've got this completely correct, but I'm sure it was that generally the majority of people feel that there's only four, or they only talk about four emotions. Um, and that's it, compared to, obviously, there are a lot more, but how that's really interesting that.
Yeah, I can believe that actually. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, and people don't understand the sort of nuances of
yeah,
people's behavior. As I'm not jealous, I'm just perhaps it's my self-esteem take a knock or something like that. It's something other than what you might assume it might be. That's
yeah.
fascinating. Fascinating. So what kind of work do you do now with your nervous system mental? How does that work? What do you do?
So at the moment, I have a program. It's called the Reset Program. So I work with clients one to one, and then we just discuss where they are right now, how they're feeling, what's going on for them, and then together we come up with a bespoke plan for them to help them to regulate their nervous system. So we look at tools that they can use and ways that we can put it into their daily lives, and then I touch base with them regularly to see how that's going on for them, to see if they're able to put these tools into place. We look at, sometimes people just struggle in how they're going to do that. How are they going to reorganize their life? So obviously you don't have to reorganize your life. So it's just sort of being alongside them to show them ways that they can do that. And so it's a 3-month program at the minute that I work with individuals and do that with them. So it's very much beside them, and we just look at how I can help and how we can work together to get their nervous system regulated, so that after that time together, they are sort of set up for life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And what do you think is there sort of one recurring theme that comes with all your clients that, is there perhaps one tip that you could give us that lots of people perhaps might need to know or help with?
I think probably one of the things is a bit like what we touched on earlier, but to just start with whatever time you have available, because I think a lot of people, they find that bit quite overwhelming. They already feel that they are at capacity. How can I put in any more time for this? But it's reframing it and thinking that this bit of time you do put in will be gold and will benefit you in all of the areas of your life. So it's really important that you put that time in, but trying to understand that it doesn't have to be hours upon hours of every day. Just start with what you can right now, but then in time you will see that it will gain you more time, so then you will be able to put more time in, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But you just have to start small. So I think, yeah, that's one of the main tips.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if daily tasks take you a certain time, you find that if you give yourself time at the beginning of the day, they'll take less time because you're
Yeah.
more focused and you're more centered. So it all evens out, doesn't it? It's fascinating, fascinating. So tell me now, I'd love to know about the clothes horse. How did that come about? Tell us about that.
So that was also when my boys were young. So I'd had my fourth child, and we always got clothes given to us from families and friends. And I just remember thinking about other families in Cornwall who may have just moved down and may not have a network around them, but still would like clothes, and still like supporting the environment, and keeping clothes in circulation as opposed to going into landfill. So I started off in my loft, which was a bit crazy.
Oh, my word.
Very quickly ran out of space, as you can imagine, with all the clothes. And then my husband at the time, he had a workshop. He was a carpenter. Well, he still is. And I basically, bless him, took over half of his workshop. And then what we did is we just opened to the public regularly, so that people could just come and take clothes for their children. And they could leave a cash or a card donation for what they take, so it's affordable to them. And then we also, and that's continued. So now we've got our own premises. I'm not with my husband, bless him.
Oh,
Yeah, we're just about to move into a new premises, which is quite
wow.
exciting. And we also help other organisations, so family support workers, for example, schools, different organisations who have families who may have fled domestic violence, for example, or homelessness, or refugees, for example, who just need clothes. So we support them as well. And then we also post out clothes to families who are unable to get to us too. Running now for 9 years, and yeah, getting stronger and stronger. So we're helping more families, which is fantastic. And we are hoping this year to be able to start doing some workshops in our new premises that like sort of are along the lines of what we do. So for example, we might have someone coming in talking about using reusable nappies, for example, and then give them some reusable nappies just to try, or having someone in to teach people how to sew to, you know, prolong the life of their clothes.
And things, yeah.
The
Oh,
other thing I
fantastic.
really do is to sort of get back into schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because those kind of skills are, I mean, I could talk about the modern curriculum for hours. Don't get me started on it. But I mean, there are so many skills that should be taught in schools. I mean, some, primary schools, they do a bit of sewing. You might get the canvas and do little crosses on it, that kind of thing. Or make something at Christmas for their mum or something. But the actual skill of mending clothing should be something that is taught.
Oh, definitely. And it was interesting. I spoke to a CEO of a community company a while ago, and they help people with gardening, and he was saying the same, that it's a skill that could be dying because obviously there's no need anymore, or as much as there used to be, to grow your own vegetables, for example, or to grow flowers to then cut and give to other people. You know, you can get all that at the supermarket. And I think sadly that's the same way for clothes. You know, clothes are so cheap with fast fashion that when we rip something, we don't necessarily need to know how to mend it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I think actually that's a skill that it could easily start dying out if we're not careful, and that's something that we as a community interest company are aware of, and we want to sort of get people back into. So we do in the past we've run workshops alongside another CIC to teach people how to sew, and that's been really, really successful, and just building up that community as well, which has been really incredible. So we've got
Fantastic, yeah.
sewers, seamstress at the minute, who are making tote bags for us, so that then we can give out to people who come and use our service, and it's just like a nice little secular thing going on.
Oh, I love that. I just love that because I sew myself. So, and I can mend things and I knit and all that kind of stuff. So I know how important, because I was taught by my mother and grandmother, and, but it is a skill that's absolutely dying out. It's such a shame because you can, double the length of a piece of clothing, can't you? That it's life by and patching things and doing that. It's such a valuable thing to do.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, and it's so good for, again, it links back to well-being as well, like those sorts of skills, they can be so therapeutic as well. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, when I'm sewing, you're at one with your sewing machine or your needle and thread, and you sort of go into a little different world, don't you? It's so lovely.
oh, my husband that maybe I should have been born in the 1920s or something.
Yeah.
Just need to bring them all back.
Excellent. So what's next, Chantal? What's sort of on the agenda next for you?
Well, at the minute, I'm also training to be a psychotherapist, so that's right near near the end now.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, so just uh, a couple of months. So mid 25, I'll be qualified. So that's sort of on the horizon. So that's really exciting. And then So for the clothes source, we're just about to move in the new premises, so get that all ready, and then we're hoping to get a membership going just to help the clothes source with all the running costs. So yes, quite a few things, but all very exciting things. So yeah.
If you're interested, if you're listening to this and you're interested in any of this, I'll put all Chantal's links in the show notes. So I think you've given me your website and all the bits and pieces, haven't you? So do have a look on there at what Chantal does, because it's just brilliant stuff. I think we're coming to the end now, which is a real shame because I could talk to you for hours. But I always ask my guests one question, Chantal, and that is, do you have a message of hope for my listeners?
Well, I think it's just to keep going, just to keep, like, one foot in front of the other. So whatever it is, just to keep going. So for example, a bit like what we talked about, time, just to put in that little bit of time just for you, and to just know that that is valuable, and to just, keep stepping along, just keep plodding along with that. And I think that's just my bit of hope, really, is to just and don't look to the left or the right, just keep on your plan and just keep going that way.
Don't look to see what anyone else is doing, just concentrate on what you're doing, and little steps if necessary, because every journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, doesn't it? So there we go. Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chantal. I've loved chatting with you today. Fascinating to hear what you're up to. So thank you very much for being with me today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. I hope you found inspiration, comfort, or perhaps even a newfound perspective around the meaning of hope. To find out more about the aims of the Chronicles of Hope organisation, please visit www.thechroniclesofhope.org, where you will find links to our social media accounts and where you will be able to make a much needed and appreciated donation. Thank you.